Hi, and welcome to another edition of Jordan Outside. Today we are going to be teaching you how to tie in for a top rope anchor as well as the components of belaying. So initially to start, the knot that you're going to want to be able to tie is a figure eight. So to begin, you grab one end of the rope about an arm's length and make a loop. This is called a bight of rope. Okay? So you have your bight of rope. You want to take the end of your rope, wrap it around your bight, and stick it through the back. You see how that looks like an 8? I'll show you that again one more time. Alright, so let's see that again. An arm's length of rope, get your loop, or the technical term is a bight, grab the end, wrap it around the back side, and then stick your end through the back. That will leave you with an 8 in your rope. So once you have your 8 in the rope, here comes the retrace component. You take that end of rope, loop it through both loops in your harness, and then you take this end and follow the exact path of the existing rope. So through there, around the top, through here, around the back, and straight through. Let's see that again. You take this end of the rope, thread it through both of the climbing loops of the harness, and then begin to retrace the figure 8 in your rope. So you take this and follow the existing path exactly as you see it to ensure that there's no discrepancies around the back. And if you look, all you've done is doubled up the existing figure 8. Now the last component is what is called a fisherman's knot. It's a safety knot to prevent this rope from unthreading. So what you do is you line your thumb up on the live end of the rope that will be the climb, and you have the dead end. You wrap it once around your thumb this way, once going across like that to create an X, and then you take the end of the rope and replace your thumb just like that. Now how you tell that this is right is the number of parallel lines. So we have one set here, 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 as well as an X in your rope on the safety knot. Another thing that you look for is the distance of the rope, of the knots in the rope. You want it about a fist length. And this is how you tie a figure 8 retrace with a safety stopper knot. So on the opposite side of the rope from where your climber has tied in, you are going to set up a belay rig. In order to do that, you need a locking carabiner. It is called a locking because it has a screw gate to prevent it from opening, and what is called an ATC. That stands for air traffic control. Funny little acronym. So to begin, you want to take another bight of rope like we did previously to make the figure 8, and you're going to want to take that bight and stick it through one side of the hog nose ATC. Doesn't really matter whichever, but since I'm a righty, I like to stick it on the right side, creating this 2 loops within the ATC. Next, you take your carabiner and you swoop it through both the ATC and the rope in that loop. Finally, you take the carabiner and put it through your belay loop. That would be running perpendicular to your climbing loops. Finally, you want to screw this carabiner down. That is essential to ensure that it doesn't open while belaying. And then tie off any knot, the one that you use to tie your shoes, the figure 8 that you just learned, the fisherman's knot you just learned. I just throw an overhand. This will prevent you from when you're lowering your climber so that the rope doesn't go through the ATC and your climber falls. To ensure your belay setup is done correctly, you want to count the number of things within the carabiner. So 1 would be the rope, 2 would be the ATC, and 3 would be your harness. You also want to make sure that the rope is orientated correctly, with the dead side of the rope that is not going up the cliff face, is underneath and the live side is up. In order to see that orientation, dead rope down, live rope up. When your climber is beginning his climb, he is going to say on belay. That is a question. You respond with belay on, which means you take all of the slack out of the rope. They say climbing, and you respond to climb on. Now in order to begin belaying, you want to remember P-bus. You take your right hand on the bottom of the dead side of the rope and you punch for P. You break, which is how the 180-degree rule of the ATC, it is in the break position. Under is the U, you grab under your dominant hand, and S is the slide. So I'll show that again, P-bus. Punch, break, under, slide. Punch, break, under, slide. In order to ensure a safe belay, you want to always maintain your right hand or your left hand, depending on what you are, your dominant hand on the rope at all time. You never release this hand from the rope. That's why you go underneath and slide up. Underneath and slide up. You never want to go over and over. That is called stacking. That is not recommended. And you also never want to allow for floating where you're like this, because that would break the B in P-bus because you're not in the break position. The break position is only when the rope is at that 180-degree roll across the ATC with friction. Holding on.